Number 25 is an interesting problem. Give it a try yourself before we talk about it. It follows certain patterns that we've seen before, but has a little tweak. It's pretty different from something I've seen before, so it's an interesting one to review. So helical blank, widely understood to confer stability and efficiency in the locomotion of a variety of microscopic organisms, including bacteria, algae, and ciliates, bestows similar advantages, albeit via different propulsive modes, to larger oceanic macroplanktons such as salps. So, very complicated sentence here, lots of phrases and clauses and such built into each other. The danger, especially in a question like this with such a long follow-up after the blank, is not reading the entire text, right? Stopping reading halfway or partway through. Like if you stop reading here, then you might go with something like B. Helical swimming is widely understood to confer stability, blah, blah, blah. Seems fine. Or maybe even C. Helical swimming has been widely understood. And maybe, in fact, you got stuck between B and C. Weren't sure which one was better, and we're going back and forth. When it turns out that they're both wrong for a very specific reason, which we'll get into. But we need to read the whole text because what happens later has a huge impact on what's going on here. So helical blank, widely understood to confer stability and efficiency in the locomotion of a variety of microscopic organisms. Let's delete, for now, this thing between the dashes, which is telling us the kinds of microscopic organisms we're talking about. Let's simplify the sentence that way. Let's also simplify the sentence by getting rid of this little phrase that's tacked on at the end, and let's get rid of this little phrase in the middle that's surrounded by commas. So right now I'm just stripping out all the complexity to see what is the core sentence here. What is the main sentence around which we're building all these other little pieces. And then I think when we do this, we'll see what the problem is with a choice like B and C and why the answer is going to be something like D instead. So helical swimming, widely understood to confer stability and efficiency in the locomotion of a variety of microscopic organisms, bestows similar advantages to larger oceanic macroplankton. So the subject here is going to be our helical swimming. The verb is way later in the sentence because there's all this stuff in between the subject and verb, but the verb is bestows. And so the problem with a choice like B or C is I don't need these verbs here. I already have a verb in this part of the sentence that is the main verb, so I don't need another one. I also don't need a verb after a comma. Like I don't really think this would pretty much never be right, but rarely right. And it's not right here. Again, I don't need this verb. I do need the comma, as we see in D, but I don't need the verb. So essentially what's going on here is this phrase, from widely to organisms, is also itself non-essential. So what I can do is let's just trim this out to really reveal the core sentence here. And the core sentence is helical swimming bestows similar advantages to larger oceanic macroplanktons. That is the core of this sentence. I've blacked out all the other pieces that are just additional elements that are, non-essential, that are surrounded by commas or dashes, and that reveals why it's got to be D, and all the other choices wouldn't work, right? If you did something like B, helical swimming is bestows, it doesn't make sense. So best answer here is choice D. Now, if I take these away and I put these all back in, this is where we get a little bit of a wrinkle. If we have a comma in this position, we would expect to see a comma later, but we don't. We don't really see a comma that's linked with this one, and this seems, at least on the surface, to break the two or none rule. But what's going on here is there really is a comma, and it's kind of hidden. It's hidden in this dash, pretty much. Like this dash and this dash are linked, setting off this phrase. But this dash is kind of serving double duty to set off this phrase, starting with widely, from the rest of the sentence. Like you wouldn't want to put another comma here. This would be very strange. But theoretically, there is one there, right? This comma is linked with this one, and then this dash is doing the work here. So it's an interesting counterexample of, in some respects, we're using a comma and a dash to set off this overall phrase, right? You have, we kind of look at this schematically. You've got the start of the sentence, you've got a comma, and then within this commaed off phrase, you have dash, dash. And instead of having the comma to link and end with it here, since you already have this dash at the end of the phrase, you just omit the comma, and then the sentence continues on from there with the verb and our subject. So it's a very strangely structured sentence, and it's that use of that dash to terminate not only this non-essential phrase in the middle of the sentence, but also the broader, bigger non-essential phrase starting with widely is very strange. But at the end of the day, I think the take-home lesson from this one is try to simplify the sentence. Strip out all the non-essential information, strip out all the extra phrases, all the extra details that are not part of the core of the sentence, and that will help you see, well, how do I have to repair the core or leave the core alone if it's already good? And that can help you decide which choice to go with, and then you just put everything back in, and when we put everything back in, it doesn't really change the answer. So simplification is the name of the game, and in this case, it gets us choice D.